Hi there. Welcome to Journal Your Way to Success. I am so happy that you are here today. Thank you for spending time. And I think you're going to enjoy this. This isn't super high tech. You don't have to feel like you take notes or anything like that. We're just going to have fun. So download the worksheet because that's what we're going to do is we're going to go through it step by step. And I think you're going to really enjoy it. So before we dive right on in, let me know if this is you, because it most certainly was me. I felt for the longest time that it didn't matter what I was doing, it just wasn't enough. And I wanted more of all of the things. And I was always wanting and striving and doing more and more, even though I was absolutely already doing a whole bunch and I was exhausted. And I felt like it wasn't enough. And if that's you, please know you are most certainly not alone because wherever you go online, you are inundated with the idea that who you are and what you're doing is not enough. It's not good enough to be strong and healthy. You also need to have a six pack abs and a thigh gap and be able to do a bazillion chin ups. And if you're already eating right and taking care of yourself and taking care of the humans, and you aren't at your peak performance, the suggestion to hustle harder and to stop complaining is just not helpful and not useful in any way. There's even a meme that kind of goes around and it's talking about how sharks never complain about Mondays because they're too busy being a shark. So, if you feel like you've got to complain in some way, and that means that you've got too much time on your hands and you just need to buckle down and get back to work, it's kind of super discouraging. And I promise there is most definitely an easier way because the issue with this sort of kind of hustle harder and more approach to life is that when you're already handling too much, the idea of throwing in yet another ball, another thing to juggle is overwhelming. It's exhausting. It's frustrating. And if you're already feeling this way, it is no good and it is not healthy. And I promise, it doesn't have to be this way. And that's what we're going to talk about today here in this training. And it all starts with learning how to slow down. So, wherever you are right now, whatever you're doing, unclench your jaw, lower your shoulders, and if you need to do a quick posture check, let's do it. We'll do it together. My favorite way is to reach up tall and then lower your arms, but keep your shoulders where they are and then kind of tighten your core. And all of a sudden, you feel like your back and your spine is in perfect alignment. So there you go. Just relax. You are all set. That is all you have to do. So let's figure out how to slow it all down without losing your productivity because it doesn't mean that this is who you are, that you've given up. And it doesn't mean that you no longer need to do all the things that you're doing. And it doesn't mean that you're fully retired or you're financially independent or you no longer have any responsibilities and you're just a lady of leisure who lays around and someone feeds you grapes and fans you. No, because chances are, if you're listening to this right now and you've signed up to this training, you're in charge of all of the things. You are probably the cook and the housekeeper, and you're taking care of all of the people and all of the pets and all of the in laws. And you're trying to figure out how to work and how to sleep properly and how not to be a grouch. And you might actually be feel like you're doing so much, there's no way you possibly have time to meet any more personal and professional goals. And I don't know about you, but my version of living the dream and have it all means that I've got my health in check, finances in check, and the opportunity to pursue happiness. Isn't that what Thomas Jefferson promised? Health, wealth, and the pursuit of happiness. And that doesn't mean that I'm checking endless things off of a never ending to do list. Does that sound right to you? So good. We are going to figure out together how to have it once and for all and how to accomplish the things that you have to do while still making forward progress on the things that you want to do, the things that feed your soul, the things that make you want to get out of bed in the morning, the things that make you feel nurtured and alive and spunky and ready to take on the world. Okay. So first things first, why should you listen to me? So if we haven't met already, I'm Stephanie and I'm a New York Times bestselling author. I've written 10 books and I'm the host of the Slow Living podcast. I first got my start writing online in 2008 when I made a New Year's resolution to use my crockpot slow cooker every day for a year and write about it online. I started my crockpot365.blogspot.com URL with absolutely no money down. And by the end of the year, I'd been on national television a few times and had a book deal and had this new job, this wonderful job where I could write at home in my fuzzy slippers while taking care of my babies. And at the end of that year, my for free blog was making about $1,000 a day in ad revenue. And I'm not going to lie, it was pretty darn awesome. But mostly who I am is I'm a mom. And that's actually what excites me and makes me feel fulfilled. I've got 3 girls. They're pretty old now. I've got one headed off to grad school, one in college, and my youngest is in middle school. And during the pandemic, we also adopted Sheldon. And Sheldon is my new baby, and he is a basset hound. And I love him. I do not drive a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or any sort of fancy sports car in any way. I drive a minivan. I actually really love my minivan. And I do feel like I'm living the life of my dreams. And in real life, I'm just Steph. I'm the mom down the street. And that really is exactly how I like it. And how I got to where I am in this kind of sense of security and fulfillment and peace, my secret sauce is journaling. I know it's not flashy, it's not sexy, it doesn't cost a bazillion dollars, but every day I set myself up first before I do all of the things for all of the other people, before I answer any email, before I do any sort of work. I pay myself first. So that means for me, I get up pretty gosh darn early, about an hour or two before everybody else in the house, before the kids, before my husband, before the dog. And I do journaling and mindset work. I do this through a combination of yoga, meditation, journaling, and an awful lot of daydreaming. I if you're interested in my exact setup, I do sell a 30 days to a new you kind of journal planner with itemized chunks in it that you can purchase on Amazon. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. Today, this is an absolutely for free training, and you have received my daily mindset journaling worksheet. And that's what I want to walk you through. And that's what my current coaching clients and the women who have enrolled in my Simple Shortcuts to Peace course, that is this journaling exercise is what they really do find absolute most useful. So you were given a copy of this journaling worksheet when you signed up for this class. And I'm going to drop a link here below this training. But if you're hearing this on replay, or if you're wondering where you can find it, if you don't know where it is in your email inbox, that's okay. It's at stephanieodea.com /daily, DAILY. And StephanieO'Day.com. That is my name, StephanieOdea.com /daily, DAILY. In that page, there's also a link to that 30 days to a new you journal that you can get on Amazon and you can purchase it. But the link to today's worksheet, the worksheet we're going to go over, is in a PDF packet. And the biggest takeaway I want you to have while going through this exercise is we're not trying to do more here. That is not what I write, coach, teach, and speak about. I do everything in a slow fashion. And the way that I use slow is simply look only within. That's the acronym for slow. And I want you to do the things that will make you feel the best, a calm approach, a peaceful approach. Because at the end of the day, that's what makes you feel good. When you climb into bed knowing, I did a good job today. I met all of the needs of the people in my life. I met my own personal needs. And I also was able to do the things that I wanted to do today. That's what makes you feel good. And so who cares if you spent all day checking off things on an arbitrary to-do list if you don't feel like it's enough, or if you don't feel like you're actually able to make forward progress in your personal and professional goals. So let's take a look at this example here. So this was one of my past coaching clients, and she filled out this worksheet. And you can see that the number one goal she had was to feel at peace today. And that's it. So what is the most important thing that you need to do in order to feel at peace? So start thinking about it as we go through this example. But let's look at hers just as an example, because I think in general, it's really super helpful to see how others do things, because then you've got a model and you can see, okay, well, that works for her. And I can see how it would kind of work for me, but I'm going to tweak some things here and there. So she wrote that she would like to go for a walk and listen to an uplifting podcast. That is how she decided on purpose she was going to create that feeling. And so my suggestion to her would be to do that. First and foremost, pay herself first before the nuances of the day become too much and she and you aren't able to do that number one most important thing. Because as the day goes on, especially if you're helping take care of other humans, you sort of get pushed into firefighter mode and getting things taken care of and done and over with mode. And then from there, let's see how she fills in the rest of today, the different components of a life well lived. In order to make today feel good, what is the one thing, and the one thing only she needs to check off in relation to time management? Okay, she wrote that she would like to get to work early for the staff meeting, and that's it. So we don't need to know. And while you're filling in this worksheet, we don't need to know what she's going to wear, who's going to be at the meeting, what time she needs to leave the house. All of that kind of stuff, it's just not relevant. In order for her to feel good, she needs to get there early. End of story. So then let's move on to health. So we aren't writing down each and every morsel of food here. Or are not tracking calories or carbs or macros. What she wrote in order to make herself feel good, her number one health goal was to drink water. That's it. One thing, water. Is that doable? Probably. Okay, so let's move on to finances. In order to feel good and at peace with her finances, what should happen today? So she suggested that she should bring her lunch to work to save money and then transfer whatever money she just saved by bringing her lunch into her savings account, into her bank account. Easy peasy. What a fantastic way to get into the habit of saving money regularly. Okay. And what's so powerful about this daily mindset journaling exercise is that you get the kind of brain dump of the things that have to happen today in each of the buckets of life into kind of your to-do list. And this is the stuff that it's going to happen no matter what. And just by doing them, by checking these things off of your list, it'll bring you closer to your big goal, your vision, your purpose, your reason for getting out of bed in the morning. And one of the tasks she wrote down for her to-do list to feel good in the relationship section was to send out a birthday card for her mom. Yes, that needs to happen. But is that what's motivating you to get out of bed in the day? Is that exciting? No. So for her, what's exciting? For this example, she wrote that she wanted to lose 50 pounds for her niece's wedding next summer. Now that's a big, juicy dream goal. And that's something that you can imagine. You can kind of taste. You can sort of feel your way into it. You can envision yourself dancing on the dance floor and fitting into the dress and feeling good in your skin. That's definitely something worth striving for, worth working towards. So, how are you going to do that? What is one thing that will help you move towards this that you're excited about and that you want to do? So, for this particular coaching client, she wrote in the 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 section that what she could do is that she wanted to run the Canyon Park 5K, which is a run in her local area that she's always wanted to do, but she was scared to enter. So we entered her together. Oh, so let's go back. We didn't quite finish. So those are the things is the great big huge thing is to feel good in her skin and lose 50 pounds before her niece's wedding. So that's the big dream. And then the little milestone one, the something she could do in the next 3 months or so is she wanted to run that race. And so what were the ideas that she had in mind in order to run this race? She thought maybe it would be a good idea to go alcohol free for 10 days. She thought it would be a good idea to track her food in FitnessPal. She thought it would be a good idea to go to bed before 11 p.m. Those were her things. So then pull out your journal and you write down in your worksheet, what is your great big huge personal goal? And then what is another little kind of mini milestone goal that would make you feel good? So many of the women that I work with, they have different big life goals. Some of them wanted to write a book or launch a podcast, start an Etsy shop, get yoga certified. One of my clients wanted to be on the board at her local children's museum. Another wanted to get promoted at work. And yet another wanted to find a way to leave her job that was no longer fulfilling. So yes, many people come to me because they're trying to figure out how to declutter their home or they're trying to get dinner on the table. And yeah, sure, it is important to check things off your list and have a clean house and make dinner every night. But those are chores. That's not your innermost sacred desire, what you feel in your belly. So Wayne Dyer, he used to say that you shouldn't leave this planet with your dream still in you. So what is your dream? What is it you're working towards? And if you don't know, that's okay because the answers will come. Give it time. And that's what slow living is all about. It's figuring out how to do the things you have to do in an efficient way. So then you have ample time, time in the margins, time to breathe, time to daydream, time to go within. We'll go back to our acronym. Simply look only within. The answers will come. You can absolutely start by listening to the Slow Living podcast because I talk in detail about the 5 steps to slow living. That's a whole nother training for a whole nother day, but it's in there. And you can listen to that podcast series with the 5 steps. And then while you're listening, kind of let your mind wander because when you sit in the quiet and you learn to go slow, the ideas, they kind of bubble up and they kind of come up to the surface and you'll know it's a good idea because it won't go away. It'll keep coming to you. So some people joke that you're haunted by your ideas. I don't know if you're haunted, but you'll notice they float to the surface over and over again. And I want you to sit and I kind of want you to process those ideas and maybe poke at any of the insecurities and uncomfortableness that you might have. Back to the worksheet. So, as you can see with this mindset journaling, I do ask you to come up with 3 things that you're grateful today. Because when you're working sometimes towards more, sometimes you forget to stay in the here and the now. And a big part of slow living is to stay present and to stay mindful and realize that you have so much to be thankful for. And one of the things that I ask you to do is to write out a few affirmations every day. And if you're in a funkity funk mood and writing an affirmation doesn't feel good right this very second, that's okay. I don't want you to wish your way out of a bad mood. I want you to sit with it. I want you to pay attention to your thoughts and feel all of the feelings. I talk to my coaching clients about feel all the feels, but only act on the facts. So if you're in a bad mood and the thought that you keep having is, I don't know, I hate my hair, so I'm going to chop it all off. So that's a feeling you might have. But the fact is, maybe you're just in a bad mood, or maybe you slept on your curls in a funny way. And so that's why they're flat. But acting on a feeling of, I want to chop all my hair off, not going to be super helpful if in a few days that feeling has passed and then you're going to regret chopping off all your hair. So feel them, feel those feels, but then act on the facts. And if you're not feeling super strong and super powerful, and then you start chanting to yourself or doing an affirmation that doesn't feel good, it's not going to make you, it's not going to work because your brain is going to talk back to yourself and say, no, you're not powerful. You're not great. You're not wonderful. That's not what we're going for here today. So what I want you to do is to decide what sounds good to you and makes you feel good. Because remember, back to the very, very first part of this coaching worksheet. Remember, this is a 1-pager. This is something to do. It should take 10, 20-ish minutes every day. You're sitting with this. So back to the feelings. We wanted to feel calm. We wanted to feel peaceful. So for this particular worksheet, my coaching client wrote in, everything I do well. Every step I take takes me one step closer. I am lovable exactly how I am right now. I can do hard things. I am proud of my forward progress. And I am a role model for my children. So you can see how powerful these thoughts are. And if you start creating a list of affirmations and memorize them, when you are in a funkity funk, all you need to do is remember the first one, and then your subconscious on rote memory will fill in the blanks for you. And you will immediately feel that feeling of your shoulders relaxing and your jaw declenching. One last thing that I want to point out here on this worksheet is that I have a slot for you to write down where you are in your cycle. And if this doesn't apply to you, don't worry about it. but I include it because it applies to most of the women that I work with. And that's because who you are on any given day is not the same. You have ups and downs and all arounds, and that is a-okay. And I don't want you to beat yourself up about it, but instead honor yourself and your body's needs. If you've got any questions about this, I suggest listening to episode 17 of the Slow Living podcast, which I entitled It's Not You, It's Your Hormones. Because sometimes people have the idea that they're going to make up a list. And this is what I do every Wednesday. And on this particular Wednesday, I am amazing and I am awesome and I am productive and I am full of life and pep. And I have just gone through and check, 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 absolutely everything off of my Wednesday to-do list. Great. Then the next Wednesday comes around and they're not feeling it. And they just do not feel like doing any of the things on the checklist. And that's okay. I don't want you to make yourself wrong for that because it's not necessarily you. It very well could have to do with your hormones. And that is a-okay. Okay. So what's next here? What's next is to give yourself a great big huge hug and know that you're not alone. I want you to download this daily mindset worksheet and start working on it. My best suggestion would be to give it a week. If you've got more time and you have more time, when we're going into the summer months, if you're home and you want to goof around with it, do it for 30 days and then write to me. Let me know what worked for you and what didn't. I would love to have you join me and listen in on the Slow Living podcast. We're now over 80 episodes. There's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to learn about yourself. And it starts from slowing down and simply looking only within. I think you are amazing. I think you are wonderful. I am so happy you are here. I'm so thankful that we got to have this time together. The daily worksheet is at stephanieodea.com/daily. And the Slow Living podcast is wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can listen online at stephanieodea.com/podcast. Consider yourself loved and hugged. And I think you're absolutely wonderful. You take care.